Yeah. Next question comes from Tommy Hoskins. It's a little bit of a long-winded one.
Okay.
Tommy says, I play drums for my church, but I don't practice as much as I should at home due to noise. I do have a basement, but my Tama Rockstar set sounds like crap to me down there and kills my motivation to play. I initially thought about getting electronic drums, but at about $2,000, I wondered if that money would be better spent on optimizing room acoustics and my kit itself. As a bonus, limit the amount of noise heard in other areas of the house while being able to stick with my acoustic set. What would you recommend? Okay. And can I realistically achieve that goal with my current kit and playing space? If so, how?
Okay. This is Tommy, right?
This is Tommy Hoskins.
Tommy Hoskins. All right, Tommy. So I think if I were you, I would not recommend going the electric kit route necessarily, especially if you're interested in just purely practicing and that's kind of what you're doing at the moment. If you have a use for that electric kit, if you're really recording stuff where that's gonna be a tool that you need, I say go ahead and go for the electric kit in that case. But if practicing is your priority and sort of honing the craft of playing drums, I would really stick with acoustic because there is a feel difference on electronic kits. And I'm just not a fan of like putting in all that time on one feeling kind of kit and then expecting that to go over to the acoustic kit. It might not be that smooth for you. For me, there's a pretty drastic difference in feeling, and there's a time and place for both of those things. So until you can afford to have both of them in your life, I wouldn't recommend just dumping all your cash right away into the electric kit. So I like that you have a basement where at least you can get away with being loud, but I totally hear you that it doesn't sound good, because if you have untreated walls, you got wall studs there, you have open rafters on the ceiling, you have a concrete floor. Yeah, man, I understand. That kit probably sounds bad in that environment. It's like playing a kit in an empty garage, right? It's chaos. So what I would definitely focus on treating the sound of the room. That seems like a much better way to go, because all you're trying to do is kill the sound. If you're not trying to soundproof the room and you're just trying to treat the sound of the room, that's a lot easier of a problem to solve. So number one thing to invest some money in that's not that expensive is rugs. And barring a rug that has been like peed on by a cat or something, like you can just go get like a cheap rug at a thrift store or 5 cheap rugs at a thrift store. I mean, smell them first to make sure they're not gross. Yeah. But it really isn't that big of a deal. It's not that big of an expense. So I would say go to some thrift stores in your area, buy 5 or 6 cheap rugs. Obviously, you can throw 1 or 2 under your kit, but try to get all that concrete on the floor covered, because that's a really hard, acoustically reflective surface. So get all of those things covered. Another thing that helps a lot is ironically like stuff in the room. Couches help a lot. But any type of large object with a bunch of mass to it is going to help deflect the sound. I think one of your worst enemies in that situation where you have this overwhelming pangy reverb happening is large, flat, smooth surfaces. So I would definitely look into getting a larger couch, maybe getting some lockers or some chairs or something to take up the space a little bit more. That's also going to be really helpful. And of course, things like Auralex help as well. I got 5 of these panels back here. And really, man, I would go, you don't have to buy the Auralex brand. You can just buy acoustic foam on Amazon, get as much bulk as you can afford, and then go to Home Depot and buy, I think what it would be is like 5mm underlayment. Get like a 4x8 sheet. At the moment, lumber's double price. It's like $10 to $14 for a 5mm panel of wood. And then just cut that to size and take your 2-foot by 4-foot foam panels. It's probably the size you're going to get on Amazon. And foam spray them. 3M makes a really nice foam. A spray for foam. And you can put the foam on those backers so they're nice and solid. You can try propping them up around the room and seeing how placing them in different positions affects the sound, because that's a hard thing to really guess. So before you mount those panels on the wall, like I have back here, try moving them around. You might find that propping them in a corner in a certain angle is really helpful. But the name of the game is just filling the space with things that are going to absorb the sound or stop the sound from reflecting so much. And I promise this is not that expensive of a thing if you approach it the right way. So carpets from a thrift store, that's a really easy thing to do. And if you wanted to go as cheap as possible, I mean cheap, I actually did this years ago in a house I lived in. We were in this little band. We went on the free section of Craigslist and found mattresses, like queen and king size mattresses that were free. So yes, they had stains and it was gross and weird and creepy, but we would just go pick up mattresses and we filled up the back of this van and we put dude, it was like 11 or 12 mattresses in a weird giant circle all the way around this 2-car garage. And then we just went and bought literally OSB pieces of plywood and sort of boxed them in so we didn't have to see the mattresses. We created like a faux wall that surrounded us. And it totally helped. It helped a lot, and we were just so broke it didn't cost us anything. So yeah, man, I think that's the move for sure. I wouldn't go the electric kit route necessarily unless you think you got a use for that tool. I would lean towards carpets from a thrift store. That's a super cheap solution. And yeah, just fill the space, get some masks going, foam panels, a lot of easy solutions, man.
To limit the amount of noise you actually create, I mean, I did this a while ago. I got Evans sound off heads, and not that we have any affiliation with them, but Zildjian L80 cymbals.
Yeah.
Quieted
That's an
the
awesome
noise
invention,
down.
by the way. Yeah, Zildjian L80s are dope. They're dope.
And if you're looking to practice, like you said, they function perfectly. You don't have to sacrifice sizes of your kit. Feel is a little bit different. You get a little bit more rebound out of the sound off heads.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you're just looking to be quiet, that's the way to do it.
Yeah. But it sounds like Tommy's in a good position where you can be loud. It just sounds like shit being loud, and I get that too. That sucks. You want to like the sound of your own kit. That's a part of playing drums too. So yeah, there's happy mediums there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good one. Good question.
Cool. Thank you, Tommy.